Like all people, students are susceptible to a range of mental health problems. Finding a way to get them to open up and talk about them can be a challenge. At Adelaide University, the Counselling and Disability Service and the Hub Student Support Team have been exploring new ways to engage directly with students and reduce some of the stigma associated with mental ill health.
With Mental Health Awareness Week, it seemed like a great opportunity to hear from students about what the difficulties they have at the university. At the counselling service, obviously we meet with a lot of students and they talk about their issues, but I wanted to find out from a broader perspective the things that students struggle with, and probably more importantly, the things that they do to help themselves and help each other. So the statement we decided to ask students was, what messes with your head at university and how do you clean up that mess? It kind of evolved from that to, well, what would be an easy way to hear from students? And we thought initially doing a vox pop, filming students, and then it evolved from there to be this diary room concept.
Conceived by two fifth-year architecture students, the diary room is a reflective space designed to be temporarily located at Hub Central, providing students with the opportunity to record personal video responses.
So the idea was to create a journey, sort of a reflective path, and I suppose we used cardboard waffle cut to construct the walls, and then we used mirrors.
So originally we actually wanted to have perspex glass like almost poking out, but then we thought that would be too harsh for what we're trying to create, so we wanted a more smooth tunnel for them to move through and almost create a flowing feeling.
It's pretty literal to use mirrors to reflect people's emotions, but we put them in so that they were reasonably cut up and at different angles, and then that sort of gave people a different look at themselves. It sort of allowed them to think outside and sort of de-stress as they went through the tunnel.
In designing the diary room, the creative team were inspired by a recent talk given by world-famous Japanese architect Shigeru Ban, most famous for his innovative work with paper, particularly recycled cardboard paper tubes used to quickly and efficiently house disaster victims.
We went to his guest talk when he came in to see the Adelaide Architecture School, so we all went to see that, and then we focused a lot on his cathedral for New Zealand in Christchurch, and then from that we decided that we could do something different.
We're sort of inspired by an architect that can turn his back sort of on working so much for the multi-million-dollar clients, which he's also done, and he admits to freely, but he's turned towards more of a situation where he is now trying to give his knowledge back to people and also help them at the same time. So we thought, being trained in what we do, we could try and help Mental Health Week sort of promote a bit better.
I thought it was really interesting that he's more into the humanitarian part of it and not just like creating sculptures for himself or monuments that focus on a specific group of people that are more privileged. So more the outlook for humanity and how he's trying to change and help people when they really need help, and how simple materials can actually do that.
Activated by motion sensors, a video camera housed in the diary room recorded a range of student responses to the questions, what messes with your head at uni and what helps you clean up the mess? A daily prize of $200 vouchers was offered to the most compelling responses throughout the week.
At uni, I have trouble because I have 2 jobs, and it's hard managing my time because I have no time for anything and I leave all my assignments to the last second, and it's just crap.
Yeah, definitely working. It's like right now, work is making me plan to fail. I'm not going to pass this semester because of my job.
The thing about uni is a lot of stuff is happening. A lot of things are going on that you really don't know about how to go about it. And most of the time you'll be like, oh, this assignment, that assignment. And you don't see yourself in the bigger picture.
The people trying to sell us stuff.
Yes.
Like get us to join committees. That messes with my head.
That's really
It's like I don't really like the committees.
Messes with my head is my family. They stress me out heaps. They kind of very demanding and think that they can tell me what to do.
Things that mess with my head, just piles of assignments dealing up, relationships, lack of relationships. And how do I clean up the mess? I don't. I wouldn't want to. Life may be empty and meaningless, but it's also empty and meaningless, so it's empty and meaningless, so it's all great. Have a good one.
What messes with my head is uni assignments, exams and stuff, and how do I clean it up? I eat.
It surprised me a lot of people did it. I really didn't think people would go in there and just unload stuff. You know, I'm sure some of them are a bit silly, but otherwise they were just, I think people did have a genuine offer to what the idea of the space was about. And I think they bringing mental health out in people is quite an interesting thing for the university to do. I mean, it does affect a lot of people with stress, especially around this time of year with exams.
I form a lot of codependent relationships where we feed off of each other, which can be both good and bad.
I don't really know who I am sometimes. It kind of scares me.
I guess mostly when I know that I'm getting depressed or down on myself, I try to throw myself into whatever I'm doing. I'll try to work really hard. I'll exercise really hard, or I'll just do something and focus on it intently without thinking about other things, and it can distract me for a little while.
I haven't really talked to anyone about this, but yeah, I get quite depressed and I get suicidal thoughts about how can I really live? I mean, is this really life and stuff? And it confuses me. And I try to just clear it up, and I try to make people laugh and just try to be a good person and do good deeds. I often feel like a bit of a weirdo doing it sometimes, but I really feel like it's probably worth it. I guess that's it. Thank you. Have a good day.
Some students were so generous with what they were willing to share, talk about their actual mental health issues that they have and the things that had helped them. And that's really what we were after, and hopefully what we'll be able to do is use that in future around any of the promotional activities we can do at high stress times around the university, because it's students speaking to students and it's students' ideas.
The whole concept of projects in the hub is fantastic in that, you know, we actually want people to bring curriculum in the hub, and some of that, obviously, this is a design project with students who are studying architecture, but there's lots of creative things that could happen in here, and anyone brings in any concept, and if we facilitate it, we certainly will have the discussion. A little bit of it's about the impact on others, but you know, all the projects that we've had so far are all about positive impact, and that's really important. I think, you know, to let people learn properly is you actually need to get people out of the classroom and talk. And when you actually try and explain something to people or you demonstrate something, it's the greatest learning that ever happens. And I think there's a real recognition, you know, in the whole world, but also at the university, that perhaps that's a good way to learn.
And then Megan had a great idea to make sort of a postcard wall where people could also, instead of only leaving a message at the end of the tunnel on the video monitor, people could write just on those free giveaway postcards and pin them up all around the space as well.
It was quite a mix of responses on the postcards. Lots of them were actually quite funny, and then others would also have a more serious confession, but then also still hidden as a joke. Because the postcards were really animated and like artistic, lots of them. So most of the pictures actually inspired confessions.
If more people can promote their own well-being and actually recognise in themselves that they might need to talk about things, I think it's really good. And so I do think that part of the structure was that ethics that I try and take in most of my design work, which is trying to really get the social side of people interacting.
Everyone actually got to be aware about mental health at their own level of engagement, and as a space I just think it was awesomely successful. You know, we had, you know, about 400 people pop their head in, and I think we had about 80 entries into the competition. You know, it was a space that actually encouraged reflection, but it was a space was become aware of mental health on your own terms. You know, we didn't have to actually push it.
You can only have intense happiness with intense despair. I'm glad to come here to give some personal and private recommendation to the university.
Hello, my name's Audrey Hepburn.
What messes with our heads? How there are 24 hours in a day and you're dead to the world for like 8 of them. Why can't you be awake?
Oh God.
That's what messes with my head.
Automatic. Look,